Gentlemen, thank you again for standing by, and welcome to today's Tivoli User Community Ask the Expert series. In today's session, our expert speaker, Calvin Moody, will discuss IBM Tivoli Network Manager's Seeding Discovery Best Practices. Today's webcast is interactive, so you may ask a question at any time using the chat window located in the control panel. Today's session is also being recorded. You'll be provided a copy of today's materials following the call. And with that, I'll turn the floor over to Calvin. Take it away.
Hi, everybody. Today we're going to be discussing some of the best practices, hopefully to reduce the time of some of the discoveries and going over some of the highlights of those issues. Like Sam said, just ask questions as you go along. It's quite an in-depth subject. The first part, or first slide, is discussing the different modes. First, we have a fixed mode, which in this slide is more geared toward customers that already know what their network is and what devices they want to discover. And so it's kind of fixed in their environment, what they want to see. And they typically disable the feedback mechanism on this because they're not adding anything new to that network or their environment. Also, file finders typically disabled in this mode. Seed file is usually used in this mode as well, or multiple seed files as well, to enable speed up the discovery. The scope mode is more like what we see in larger networks. 500,000 entities is what we're talking about, larger networks. In the scope mode, we really encourage using feedback, or it is used, because basically the customer has things that are coming into his network all the time that he's not aware of. So he wants the feedback mechanism turned on. And he also wants the ping finder turned on as well to ping all the certain subnets that he might have. Now, also, we kind of go into building using the build seed list script. Basically, we encourage this after you've already done a discovery to use this script to populate a seed file with what was actually discovered, and use this seed list to do your next discoveries, to cut down on pinging just devices that are in your scope, IP addresses that are in your scope. I'll kind of explain this more with the next slide. Basically, this is kind of an example of a bad seed listing. A person has, or entity has just given us a Class B network, and you have over 65,000 devices that we have to go through. And we basically have created just a one-thread entity here where we're just pinging each device a single time, at a single instance, and therefore going through all these pings at an interval, 10 pings per second is the default time, with one retry. We're looking at 110 minutes just to find 500 devices, or 5,000 devices, I should say. Then it goes back and does a retry and adds another 100 minutes on the retry, what it didn't find. And that total comes out to about 3.5 hours. So you can see when you set something up this way, that it's going to take quite a while just to find 65,000 devices. And the next slide is what we typically like to see. We like to see this is set up in the seed list, or the seed tab, I should say. We've broken that subnet down into 8 different subnets. So that gives us 8 threads to work with. And therefore, we've broken it down into about a 14-minute time frame, and the retry is about 12 minutes. So the entire 65,000 plus entities are run through in less than 30 minutes. So significant savings in time there. And today I'd also have Krishna on the line with us, and he may interject here on anything I might have left out. And if y'all have questions, obviously ask both of us. Going on to our next slide. This is set up in the Advanced tab. This is disable rediscovery rebuild layers. Now, I just pointed these two items out on this tab. But when you disable this, it skips through recalculating the connections, so it will affect the root cause analysis ability for us to do that. So some people might want to leave that alone, but it does actually increase your time of discovery. Also, the other item is disable rediscovery of related devices. Also, the trade-off with that is you don't really learn anything new about the discovery, anything that came in. So, but it, there again, increases the time of discoveries. The next item is discovery agent returns filter. And that's basically a filter that we can filter out any extraneous information that we don't need from the interfaces that we're interrogating. So it does cut down on the amount of memory that has to go into the discovery, and therefore increases the time of discovery. I know this slide says it doesn't, but I guess that's been proven to not be true, that it actually does increase the time of discovery. The next slide is on discovery stats. Basically, this tells us how efficient we're running our discoveries. The total column is the total time it took to do a discovery on a certain date. That's the time it takes for all the phases to go through and for it to populate the GUI. So we're working with the disco cache and the model cache here. So that's the entire time. Also, if the NCP disco process is not running, you can use a Perl script that's located below using disco and model cache to interrogate that and get the same information. It's kind of a good feature. The next slide, I'll have to switch my screen here for a moment just to show these to you. Just one second. Guess I'll just pull it over. Next slide, and these links will be sent to you at the end of this discussion. The next slide is reducing discovery time. It's a good tech note. It's based on SNMP discoveries. You can increase the number of threads for the agents involved, and you really need to, it's good to know what agents you actually need to be using, so you need to kind of know what is actually in your shop. What, you know, if you have a Disco or Juniper routers or whatever, to know which agents to enable, and also to know which agents are going to be worked the hardest in order to increase those agents' threads. This slide goes into that particular detail. You can increase the number of threads up to, say, 100 in this this example. And in so doing that, you'll also need to increase the number of threads on the SNMP helper as well, which is my next slide. It's really more for, this slide's more about timeouts and retries, which also is important, but it just shows you where the number of threads are located. M num threads is the category we're looking at here. And you have to increase that value to be less than or equal to or greater than, I should say, the number of threads you put the agent into. Also, I'd mentioned in this presentation about Bill seed list. There's also a link that Ken Stone, one of my colleagues, wrote about removing some of the mystery out of building the seed list. Basically, he uses the example of when you're going out there and doing a discovery, if you have a /24 network, you're basically going out and discovering 255 devices. And if you only have 5 or 6 in that particular subnet, that's all it's going to be actually finding. And if you use the build seed list after that discovery, it'll build a file for you with just those 5 in there, for example, or whatever it might be. It may have 200 in there, but it'll really cut down on the amount of discovery times because you're just going back out and finding those particular devices within the next discovery. So that cuts down on pinging and trying to retry devices that you're not even interested in or not out there, or network addresses that don't exist in your network. So anyway, there was also on this other slide that I had some other things that I forgot to mention on reducing times of discovery. They're down toward the bottom of this slide. We've already mentioned increasing the number of threads in the agent. Also, we can use PreDiscovery filters, like for devices that have no SNMP access, or end nodes, or printers, or whatever, so we're not needlessly going out there and grabbing information about those type devices that you really don't care about. You can also turn off VLAN modeling, and also entity agent. But one caveat to that, if you're in layer 2 or layer 3 topology, you might want to leave those on. But if you do turn them off, they'll increase discovery times up to 30%. So that pretty much ends the slide presentation. I'm hoping we have some questions out there.
We have a couple of questions. Which version of ITNM are we talking about? Is 3.9 covered?
Yes. Everything I've covered in this presentation is in 3.9 and 4.1.1.
And another question, discovery scopes using route summaries such as 10.20.00/13 seems to work pretty well. When using the smaller scopes, discovery would take a long time. I get that smaller subnets prevents the need to ping tens of thousands of unused IPs. Is that how the build seed list works to avoid this?
I can't see the actual question. Let me see if I can pull it up. It's a little unclear as to what he.
Krishna answered it.
Oh, okay.
Krishna, do you want to tell the answer?
Yeah, so I mean, if you don't care about the discovery timings, and if you don't want to ping those unused the IPs within those subnets, yeah, the build seed list is the best way going forward. A lot of times, customer would like to accomplish complete discovery cycle within a certain time frame. So, for example, we have some of the large customers, they would like to accomplish the complete discovery after 11 a.m. and before 4 p.m., before 4 a.m. So they have about a 5-hour window or 6-hour window, whatever the may be. So in that case, you want to tighten up the ping sweep, because that would be most of the time along with the other agents that he may be turned on, right? Yes. My answer fulfills that question. Yeah, it's a two-way based on what you want to accomplish. Some customers, they don't care about the timings, and so they can let it run and try to find if they don't have a complete control on the network.
Okay. I did have some questions that were submitted before in the registration. I'll go through them now. If you have any questions, please ping them to us in the chat. For two ITNN discovery systems, with different elements may have overlap. What info is obtained shared via cross-domain stitching?
I think I'll let Christian handle that one.
Okay, so at the moment, we discover those devices, when you say systems, I would call it maybe a network device, that exist in more than one domain. Yeah, we discover them appropriately in both domains, but when it comes to the building the connections, we draw links between those connections. It is based on the subnet. That is a one key element that we rely on. There are some other scenarios that we rely to build those cross-domain stitching. I don't have the complete details, but the one set of element is based on the /30 subnets and so forth.
Okay, thank you. Another question. A config of file finder delimiter is very touchy and prone to errors, especially in version 3.9 FixPack 4. Are there any improvements on this?
I guess you're talking about the people making silly errors in the seed file. As far as I know, it is still same, but I'm surprised to say you specified the exact FixPack. I mean, it is same across, even in the current releases. It has been like that. Yeah, I don't think we have done any other changes to point out which specific entry is having issue, but it tells about the line number. I guess that's about it. I would be happy to answer if you have any follow-up questions on this. Is the call open to everybody, or is it muted?
Everyone is on mute. If you would like to speak and you're on the bridge, you can raise your hand and I'll give you a microphone. Otherwise, you can type your questions in the chat.
I see someone had a question about 4.2. They didn't really specify. I'm assuming they're wanting to know the release date. I don't know that that's been announced. Christian, have you heard anything on that?
The 4.2 tentative ETA is end of this year. I don't have any more information beyond that. Yeah, the ETA is December 2015.
Okay.
We have a question. I have a question about separator parameters in seed file configuration. It is not working.
I assume you are talking about the actual white space instead of either comma or some other delimiter. Is that so? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Okay, that's what you're saying. I'm just repeating what you said. So the delimiter is not working sometimes, and sometimes it's not. I think we have to look into it, but typically as long as the syntax is appropriate throughout the file, based on what you define in the file finder schema, which delimiter is being used, it should work, unless you are using in some entries, comma, other entries, a tab, and so forth.
Do you have customers using broadcast ping? If so, what are the risks?
That's a good question. I think we have very few customers that uses it to reduce that, to feed the discovery. In terms of the risk, I'm not clear what risk it would be, but I could research and come back on this, James.
I have another question from the pre-registration. How do I reset my discovery model from the initial disjointed read, just learning construction to a best practices model?
The question doesn't make much sense. How do I reset my discovery model from initial disjointed read, just learning? If you want to actually wipe out the existing topology and redo from scratch, we have made a posting on the DW answers. Let me get that out while we are answering other questions. I'll post that in a second on the chat window. Yeah, Christina, keep going, and I'll get you that link so we can post on the chat window.
Okay. I think this is related to the question. The question was, using ITNM 411, I installed the scopes for initial discovery. Okay, let's go to the next question, and we'll go back to that one. The question is how to handle multiple domains that overlap.
How to handle the multiple domains that overlap. I assume you want to say how to handle the multiple devices that exist in more than one domain. Is that appropriate? You can say yes or no. Yeah. So if that is the case, right now we do have the cross-domain visualization in place. What it means is we draw the links that are across the border devices. But if they overlap in each and every domain, you will have the RCA limited to just your domain only. The limitations only comes under the RCA piece. Everything else in terms of visualization, how they are connected and everything should be as per your real network setup. Take another scenario where you don't have any overlap. Let's say you only have the devices. The border devices are connected as part of the visualization. We do have RCA about 3 different scenarios where we do the RCA. I will also post that link, what RCAs we do across the network. Some of the scenarios still work even with the help of that cross-domain stitching we do, only few scenarios that don't work. That is how it is in the current design of the ITNM.
Okay, we have another question. How to do the NSIM request across all domains?
I assume you are looking for the SQL queries that we run to build the cross-domain visualization. If so, yeah, feel free to send me your request. I'll be happy to fulfill offline.
Okay, we have another question. Is the product still open to allow users to create their own discovery agents? If so, is there any best practice documents on this topic?
ITNM strength is its openness. You can do whatever you feel like, and yes, you can create your own agent and everything. There is a doc we put out there probably a couple of years ago, how to create your own agent. I'll try to bring that SDE and post in the text chat. That may be a little outdated, but yeah, you can follow the same practice.
Okay, Krishna, I see you posted a couple of links. The first one is DW Answers.
The DW Answers is covering how to wipe out your existing topology and repush the new set of discovery data into the NSIM. To answer one of the previous questions we had, I think the question was, how do I reset my discovery model for that one? And the second one is talking about what kind of root cause analysis we do within ITNM. And within the cross domain, even if you have multiple domains, some of the scenarios will work. It's not a limitation there. Certain scenarios won't work. If you like more details, I'll be posting more on that topic on the DW Answers later on. But if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer here. And the last one is someone asked about the ITNM. Can we still write our own agent? Yes, it is doable. The strength of ITNM is its openness. That example covers about how to create your own custom agent.
I think Eric had a question about the best way to discover new devices. The quickest method, and he alluded to partial discoveries. Can you read that one, Christina? For some reason, I can't read the whole thing.
Sure. I have a need to allow users to start a partial discovery. New devices are being added to the network on a change schedule basis. The user needs to quickly discover the newly added devices. What is the best method to accomplish this?
Okay, so the partial discovery is the quickest method, if you like it, but there are multiple choices. If you also have the traps, you can enable one of the plugin within the gateway, which is the discovery plugin. It will send the trap, and we will kick off auto partial rediscovery. So you can eliminate the manual task for that one. I will post a link on that from one of our colleague, Nick Ho, who written that documentation, how to do it. I'll get this going. Yep. And the next question I can cover. So somebody's asking about Java no longer requirement for topology maps. Yeah. So you want to wait for version 4.2? It is. It's applet free. I think everybody's waiting on it. That's the major improvement in the coming version. The purpose of the question on the partial rediscovery is it is taking correlating connectivity for about 3 hours. So what you want to do is, if you look at the Kevin's slides, one of the slides talks about, Kevin, can you go back to the previous slides? And actually, this is the right one. It says disable rediscovery rebuild layers. What it means is you are just discovering the device, you are pushing into the final topology. You are not correlating the connectivity across. The device will be added, and you can start monitoring it mainly around ICMP and SNMP, but the side effect is the RCA will be suffered. So if you have any outage around that device at the time, because it doesn't have appropriate connectivity until you run a full discovery. Or alternatively, what you could do is we also have a topology editor that we introduced back in, I don't recall exact version. It is a right-click tool within the GUI. You can right-click on the network maps, click on add device, and feed the IP address and so forth. And the device will be added, and you can add that to your monitoring list right away. It's like a minute task. Either you can do that, or like I said, you can go with a partial rediscovery, either via command line or a script, or using an add node pulse script, or using a traps, which is a plugin for the gateway. So yeah, there are multiple methods. You can opt any that is applicable for your environment. That's a good question. Thank you.
Okay. Back to the question about how to do the NSIM request across all domains. Jean clarified and asked, can I do one cross domain covering all defined domains?
I'm really not following that question. So I guess if we have, let's say, I'll speak up what I followed so far. If that is not appropriate, I share your question again. If we have, let's say, 5 domains, each domain has a plugin, which is cross-domain. If the plugin is enabled, it will go and fetch the neighbor connections appropriately, and we will build the connections across the other domains, right? As long as you have the plugin enabled for each and every domain, we will build the connections combining all the domains within that network, right? Does it answer?
Jean, let us know if that answered your question.
Okay.
I was reading Sam's or Oscar's question, but I'm not sure I quite understand it.
Jean clarified, my domains are not connectable as they target different managed clients. But I need cross-domain statistics.
If they are not connected, if they are isolated, why you want a cross-domain visualization? Because if they are completely isolated in their own silos, so I'm not sure how we could even find any connected information from one domain border device to another domain border device, right? Statistics on classes versus desired versus policies. the statistics on classes versus SOID, you should be able to pull the report appropriately. I don't think you need a cross-domain at all. If you have multiple domains, if you want to pull out the statistics for each domain, you should be able to generate a report on that. If I'm not following your questions, I would be happy to have a call with you if you share the details, how to reach you. I will reach on to the next question. What is the most popular backend relation database, ITNM 3.9 and 4x? Of course, DB2. No other comments on that. We do have a large number of customers that are on 3.8. They're stuck with MySQL. Obviously, 3.8 is going out of the support in 2016 September. 3.9, I think some customers we have a mix. It's an Infomix that was the default database initially that was released, and now 4.1, 4.1.1, they're all DB2, and we have a large number of customers migrating from IDS, Infomix to DB2 lately. And by the way, the DB2, all the ITNM customers are entitled for the header, so you can define the high availability database.
Okay. We have another question. What is the best methods in regards to full discovery, start monitoring devices, then frequency of partial discovery, then repeat the cycle as a standard practice?
I guess that varies with your environment, really. How often stuff's being added, and how soon you want to know about it. If that's just kind of an open-ended question with the environment. Depends on your environment more than anything else, I would imagine, if that's what he's actually asking. The bill feed list, we tell customers weekly or monthly, depending on how often their environment changes.
Okay, there's another question. Are there any customers running discoveries on separate servers at 3.9 and 4.x level from model and other processes? Is there any caveats, and is it recommended?
Well, the only distribution within the domain, we only have customers that do the model process. So your discovery runs, everything else runs on one box. But the model process is split out of that and runs on another server that is close to the database to avoid the, to reduce the migration from model to NSYM process. But I haven't seen any customers split the either polar or the discovery in that same fashion. Unless you have a, the question is pretty valid. I mean, if you have a network across your different regions, you may want to run the discovery close to your network and then have a central database somewhere else, even the polling. But most of the customers haven't followed that method, and I haven't seen any.
The next question, when are you planning on adding support for Oracle 12c? Oracle 11g will be out of support end of 2015.
I don't think the time frame's been announced yet. I had that question about a week ago from someone, and that was kind of L3's response. They haven't set a time frame yet, unless you know something different, Krishna.
And I think we can direct that question to, again, product management. I'm not in a position to speak on that yet. Christina, I can read the questions. Previous questions, I was not able to see them, so but yeah, I can go through them. So the next question is, ITNM 4.1 was available only in Linux. Are there any plans to have other flavors? Yeah, the 4.2 is a multi-flavor, and the beta is supposed to start end of this month, September. If you are interested, yeah, the announcement should come out. You're welcome to join there on the beta program. The next question is, I guess this is a little hard to follow since ITNM is really new to me and I come from an application that manages network frequently. Okay, so it may be follow from a different question. I guess there is no question for that. Let me see if he has posted any other question there. Okay. Okay, so just sharing your opinion. Okay. Yeah, the ITNM is a multi-component bundle in one product, but once you get the idea of the overall picture, you should be able to follow. But there is the overview of ITNM that I presented. I don't think it is on the web, but I'll post it there. And when this meeting minutes goes out, probably, Christina, can you put that link as well? I'll share with you.
Yes.
In my environment, I use route summaries for scopes. Originally, I use IP boundaries per customer location. The original discovery took 37 hours. Moving to route summaries reduced to 6 to 7 hours. I do a discovery nightly because we add devices all the time. Okay, that was your comment. Was there a question following that? I guess you are sharing your feedback based on your previous questions. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
I did have one more question from the pre-registration. What is the best practice for splitting into ITNM domains when multiple ITNM collectors are in scope?
Interesting. So I assume you're talking about a combination of SNMP plus EMS systems together. And what is the best practice to split them up? Is that accurate? Could you say yes on the text chat? Okay. Well, if you talk about 3.9 and earlier versions, or even 4.1 to speak, it is a 32-bit application. Each process can grow only up to 4 gig. It depends on the actual, the flavor of the Unix you are on. In AX, it's only 3.25. But 4.1.1 lifts up that limit. You are 64-bit application. I mean, you can put everything in one domain if you don't care about the discovery times and other side effects of that result. But as a best practice, we would like to limit the domain size close to 500K elements. The 500K elements could be a combination of 1,000 devices or 10,000 devices based on your network inventory. If you have too many switches, it may be less number of devices. We have a documentation covering how to calculate your number of elements within the given network. I think if you do an inventory domain, that will give you a best idea what your size will end up into. The best practice to answer your question is, I would say go with 500K elements, keeping other things in mind. One is the discovery times, so that it will bring the topology up to date. The second one is having all the process to be scalable, such as a gateway and a model and whatnot, because they also hold same topology within the memory, along with the discovery and NSIM. So to keep it scalable and performance relation reasons, I would say 500K elements. Does it help?
I'm not certain who asked that question.
I can read the questions on the other chat. So I believe the latest ITM products are 64-bit. Have there been a significant improvements in discovery process and also topology rendering? In terms of the discovery time, if you talk about, I think, yeah, there may be some improvement there. I don't have the complete stats, but if you are interested, feel free to send me email. I can engage with our performance team. We can share an NDA document what the results are between 3.9 and 4.11, which is 64-bit, compared to 3.9, which is 32-bit application. The next question, it appears that most all discovery configuration files are resident in ITNM server except for the PreDiscovery filter. We have two tip GUIs, one netcool console, one ITNM GUI, but if we change a filter on the ITNM GUI, the change does not appear on the other tip or console. So the question is, that is not appropriate. If they are talking to the same NSIM database, if you make the change in one server, you should also see on the other, unless they are talking to two different databases. At the moment, the tip instance doesn't talk to multiple NSIMs. It's a one-to-one relation. And by the way, the filters are just XML files within the tip server, but the actual changes are written to the ITNM core server. It depends on the version. The files would vary. But it is typically the disco config.cfg and so forth. The next one is, it mandatory to split each EMS collected into one domain? No, we have customers with the multiple EMS under one domain. You don't need to have one domain per EMS unless each EMS is pretty big in terms of the number of elements. Like I said, 500K elements. So treat that as a boundary for many reasons. The next question is, can we have more of these sessions that perhaps expose a little under the hood aspects of ITNM discovery settings? Yeah, I take your point, and we'll come with more of these sessions going forward. We try to keep at least 1 or 2 sessions per month. Let's see how that goes. Not a promise, but we'll try to aim for that.
And I think we'll rename this Ask Krishna.
Okay, I have a couple of follow-ups, so I will definitely do that, and one from Jim Powach, another one. So Christina, how will I get all these follow-up? I'll get the notification of all these questions?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I'll follow up accordingly.
Well, is that about it for today, or some more?
Okay, so 2 comments I want to make. So look forward for the 4.2. I'm not trying to promote here, but it's the most awaited release, multi-platform. And the applet free, which is, if you are interested in participating beta, please forward it. I'll share the email of our product management. And take advantage of the beta, because the developers will be supporting that beta forum. So you can get most out of it. And the second piece is, I'll try to present a session on high availability on September 24th. I haven't booked yet. If you want to join, you can join there.
It'll probably be a different date, but it will be sometime coming up.
Okay, all right.
Okay, I think that covers all the questions.
All right, great. Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for attending, and a special thank you to Calvin and Krishna for offering your time and sharing your knowledge with us. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, well, please do take a few moments to fill out your post-event survey, ladies and gentlemen. Your input is very important to us, and we take that and apply it to all of our future events. This concludes today's conference, and you may now disconnect. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Sam.
Yep, thank you.